Hello, Marcus Lim here to talk about the penultimate episode of The Mandalorian Season 3, and I have to say that this episode is a really good one. Hands down the very best episode of Season 3, for sure. And I think the IMDb score would agree. So if you take a look at on IMDb, Season 3, you can see that this episode 7.5, 8.3, 7, 7.7, 8.3, 6.3, and the penultimate episode 9.0, right? So hands down the best episode of the season, and I think there's a few reasons for it. And one big reason is that this is not a filler episode. So there's been a couple episodes this season where it just felt like the story's not going anywhere. For instance, episode 3, episode 6, where they had like those cameos by Jack Black and Lizzo, right? Not really going anywhere, but this one, right, just advances the plot, and we get lots of great moments with, for instance, with Grogu. We have the return of the big bad Moff Gideon, which is always pretty cool, and we have a hell of a cliffhanger as well. So speaking of cliffhangers, there's two major developments. Firstly, Paz Viszla has finally met his demise. Heartbreaking. But at least he went down in a heroic manner. And secondly, Djarin is captured by Moff Gideon, which is obviously a brilliant setup for the finale. And speaking of finales, just some of my theories about what's gonna happen. So my first prediction is that Djarin is gonna die. Yes, Mandalorian is gonna die. Now Grogu will definitely attempt a rescue in his IG-12 droid, but I think that Djarin will finally meet his death at the hands of Moff Gideon. And I think, I think this will happen because Djarin's story is, I think up to this point, nearly over. He's been taking a back seat so far in this season, while Bo Katan has been on the rise. So I think that's where it's heading towards. And speaking of Bo Katan, I think she will actually have the long-awaited battle with Moff Gideon. So her with the Darksaber and him with the Mandalorian armor, so that promises to be a very, very anticipated battle that's a long time coming. But I do think Moff Gideon will actually die at the hands of Bo Katan. And why is this? Because we do know that the Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming, right? And so Moff Gideon's death will pave the way for the real big bad, that's Grand Admiral Thrawn, who will potentially, I think, even make an appearance in the finale ahead of his role in the upcoming Ahsoka show. And finally, I think there will be a shock surprise regarding the armorer, and I do believe the armorer is actually the traitor. She's probably the one who set up Bo Katan and Djarin and all the other Mandalorians to get captured by Moff Gideon. I mean, why else would she have an excuse to leave, right, the planet, and leave them to go into the hands of Moff Gideon? So that's what I think. I mean, she's been very mysterious thus far, so I think that will be a shock reveal. So those are my predictions heading into the finale. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in another video.